Welcome to a new Astral Flux video. I got a big update to the game for you. We got 2 new worlds, we got a lot of new enemies, we got 2 new bosses, we got new procedural level generation, we got challenge rooms, we got upgrades, and we have a roadmap for where the game is going and when it's coming out approximately. So, if you're interested in all that, stay tuned and let's dive in. For those of you who don't know what our game is about, it's about 2 would-be astronauts and scrappers that fumble their way through space. Their spaceship breaks down and they have to find new resources to fuel their warp drive. One of them goes to a planet to gather those resources, but doesn't come back. So the player has to find out what is happening and discover a whole bunch of mysteries. So for this first new world we want to show you, we had a very atmospheric, ambient world in mind. Good ice worlds in games always have this really cool atmosphere. It's serene, but it's mysterious and dangerous at the same time, and we wanted to recreate that. So Adam made some really cool music, ambient music, to go with that. I made some annoying or freaky ice enemies. We made a cool new boss. So a bit more about the boss in a second, but first let's dive into the atmosphere of the second world. For this second world boss, Adam started prototyping a boss with crystals around it that could expand and rotate, and we really liked that idea. So I picked it up and I started putting some art onto it. And slowly it evolved into an alien skull with tentacles wiggling around it and swords to protect itself, but also to attack you. And the boss has a couple of phases. I won't spoil them all, but yeah, it can rotate, it can shoot the swords outward, and can do all sorts of things. If you are going to play the game, I hope you like this boss. We probably polished a little bit more, but here is what we have so far. I hope you like that. Now, the third world that we worked on is a bit more creepy and dark. So, what could be more inspiring than underwater creatures in an underwater world? So, Adam made the background, I made a lot of enemies and the majority of the tile sets. Together, we cooked up this creepy world with a lot of spidery critters, and the world is also a little bit harder, and that's good because as you progress the game should get harder, right? So here's a taste of world number 3. Originally, we intended the boss that is now for World 3 for World 2, because I started playing around with procedural animation, and because I wanted to have little legs that could walk on their own as the enemy moved and place the feet where they should be. So I made a alien spider prototype with all kinds of nasty things on it. And it was actually a very good boss for the third world, which was much more creepy and mysterious. So Adam actually took the procedural leg animations and the art and then built on top of that a boss that can shoot with all kinds of particles and has a couple of really interesting faces, which I will not spoil. But here's a little sneak peek of the boss. So what's next? One thing that's always been really interesting to me is a behind the scenes look to how games are made. So when I was younger, I always watched these developer diaries. I remember for the original Prince of Persia games, there was this behind the scenes look inside the offices where you saw all the people working on the game and you saw the in-engine footage. And I really like that. So of course this is not a AAA game, but I think it's still cool to show some of the behind the scenes stuff. So for this video I wanted to show you how we make the levels, and in this case that's especially interesting because we have procedural generation of the levels. And this is how it works. On each world you have a temple. You start in the starting room, you open the temple, and there is a random path from left to right to the boss room, and behind that boss room is a treasure room. And that's where the good stuff is. So you have to get there. At some point you also have to get out, right? So you just don't warp back to your spaceship, you actually have to leave the temple. And this random path to the boss room is different each time. From this main path we have branching paths that also go somewhere. And sometimes they have dead ends. And what we wanted to do is give the player some reward for exploring these branches. Because when you're in the temple, you don't know whether you're on the main path or in a branch. So we created these points of interest that we could place at the end of that branches, and that give you a challenge room or an upgrade or a time exchanger, where you can actually exchange coins for time inside the temple, because the temple is kind of unstable. And more about that maybe in another video when we talk about the story. This way, using these algorithms we made, we can actually generate sort of an infinite amount of temples. And within each room that is placed along these paths, there is random enemies, random hazards, all kinds of cool stuff. Before I end the video, here's a little overview of what we are thinking of in terms of planning. So in the coming months we want to finalize World 4, which means a new boss, new visuals, new traps, new enemies. Around summer we want to release the game on Steam. You can already play the game on itch if you're interested. We have early builds that you can play, they're stable. So if you're interested in that, you can buy the game at a 50% discount. And then once the game releases, you can get the full version on Steam for free. So if you're interested in the game, feel free to wishlist. It would help us a lot. And if you're interested in providing feedback or have cool ideas about the game, you can share them with us via the comments below or on Discord. That's it for now. See you next time.